ॐ अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. हरि ओम. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishnaaya. Thank you, friends and devotees who are all here today. I am happy that Swami Sarvasthananji, who is in charge of the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center in London, has arranged this meeting with all of you. I am happy to have my brother monk from Berlin also to be with me. He gave a beautiful narration of Sister Nivedita's a very good quality of sacrifice. We all know that a woman born in Ireland, brought up in England, went to India, and she died in India and for India. So it's a great sacrifice, Indians view. And that sacrifice, some of the very, very important impact of her character on some of the top levels of minds of people at that time in India, that he very nicely explained. How Rabindranath Tagore was corrected, how Jagdish Chandra Bose was helped, and how Dinesh Sen was helped. You can see that in all this, her sacrifice comes out so boldly. And she says that my name should not be given anywhere. Dinesh Sen is very famous for his writing of 2 volumes on the history of Bengali language. And that book is still now a textbook in the University of Calcutta for higher classes. That book, first he wrote in Bengali, then he translated it to English. Because Nivedita was so close to him, and Dinesh Sen went to Nivedita and said, "Sister, can you see this English proof? I want to have not a single mistake, even a comma, full stop mistake should not be there. I want you to do the proofreading." She said, she took the manuscript in her hands and looked at Dr. Sen and said, "Dinesh, brother, how much will you give me?" Dinesh was stunned. He said, "How much you demand in pounds or in rupees? Tell me, I shall give you that money." She said, "No, I am not interested in your money. What I am interested is, you must tell me you will give me that. Then only I can. Promise me, then I will tell you." Then Dinesh said, "Yes, I promise you whatever you want, I shall give you." Then she told him, when the book will be released, in the book you will have a foreword. In that foreword, none of the place you should tell that this book has been corrected by Sister Nivedita. Just imagine her greatness. Her ego was almost zero. She said she doesn't want name and fame. Dinesh Sen could have made her or her name to such a great length he could have taken up. But she said, "No, I will look into the book, I will correct it and give you. But nowhere you should mention." So finally, Dinesh Sen writes in the foreword one sentence, "I gave this book for proofreading to one of my dearest relation who refused to divulge the name." Like that he puts it. So those who know about this incident, they know it was Sister Nivedita who did it. She was like, as Hanumanji we say, how for his own self there is zero. His ego was zero. Everything was Ram for him. So Ram kaj karibeko atura. So only to work for Ram. That was Hanuman's idea. The same way Sister Nivedita, let the India, the country that was loved by Swami Vivekananda should rise now. That was the only vision. And she did. We call her, Sister Nivedita's full name is, Elizabeth, Margaret Elizabeth Noble. So this Noble is a very beautiful title she has got. Actually, she was a noble soul, I would say. From her activities and from her qualities, I find that she was exceedingly a noble soul. What is nobility? This nobility is a very beautiful word, and in particularly those who are aware of the England's politics or the political movements here, the nobles are a separate class. Is it not? They have even separate seats in the parliament. So you will find that nobles they are called. And they had huge castles, etc. Even in Ireland, when I go to different places and look into those castles and forts, they say, noble from England had this as his property. Even now they say. So nobles was a class itself. But I am not using that term in that connotation. I am using another connotation of Indian's context. The noble is such a beautiful word, Whenever you see, just go into a childhood. That friend was asking about Nivedita's childhood. She was born as a daughter of that Noble's family, Samuel Noble's family. And 3 children born to Samuel, they passed away. Only 3 remained and survived. And of that, Margaret was the eldest. And she had a sister called May, as Sarada told, May Noble, and a brother also. Brother was Richmond. And these 3 members, that Nivedita's father, for family, if you see, Nivedita's father's side as well as Nivedita's mother's side, these 2 sides are coming together. In Nivedita's mother's father was a great revolutionary type of freedom fighter in Ireland. So he spearheaded the movement of getting Ireland should get completely free from England's dominance. And Nivedita's father's side was very, very pious. Christians, they are Protestants, and you know that Ireland is a Catholic country majority. And her father wanted to be a preacher, and he came to England then for training, and then he started his preaching work here itself as a pastor. So after the age of only 1 year she stayed, and then she came away to England. She was born in Ireland, but Dungannon is the place which is now in Northern Ireland. So Northern Ireland, of course, officially legally belongs to England, you see. So it is belonging to UK. So in Northern Ireland it is there. But we are allowed to go there. We can go and see, etc. So it's a beautiful small village. And the village, in that village, we could not exactly find out which house she was born. That house could not be traced, but the street could be traced. Due to several documents that we got we could trace. So in one of the shop, we have put that blue plaque. So that here Sister Nivedita was born. So now in that street, now we are still doing the research, and we need the help of Sarada and like-minded other people who can tell us exactly in which house number she was born. In that case, we can further progress in that about her life. So that lady, 10 years only she stayed here in England. Then her father went to Dungannon back. And then while staying in Ireland, he passed away. When his father passed away, mother took the 3 children and went to her mother's house, which was in Dungannon. And there they stayed. Her mother got a job also. She went out to another place, and Nivedita was left with her grandmother. And grandmother was imbued with the feeling of nationalism to fight against any dominance, foreign dominance. And she used to tell her child, this child, small child, 10-year-old child, and Nivedita grew up in that atmosphere. Only 4 years she stayed with her grandmother, and she also came back to London and finished her studies. And then the story goes like that. I want to show you the nobility of sacrifice, what it is. We have heard about our sacrifice. Actually, what is tyaga? We use the word tyaga, renunciation. What is tyaga? Suppose I have 10 pounds in my pocket. Somebody comes and asks some money. I give 5 pounds from the 10 pounds that I have. Can it be called tyaga? It is definitely charity. You cannot deny that. I have done charity of 5 pounds to him. But I have still balance with me. Can you call it tyaga? No. Tyaga is a very beautiful word. It means that without which you cannot live, and that you are giving to somebody else. Is there any example in our Puranas? There is a beautiful example of Dadichi Muni. There was a big fighting, as usual Puranas we have the Devatas and Asuras, they are fighting. So once that fighting was going on and on and on, Devas were completely vanquished. So they went and told Brahmaji, what to do? How do we get back our land? Then Brahmaji said, go to one Rishi who is in deep meditation, is in Samadhi. He has got a backbone. Ask him to give the backbone to you. From that backbone, you prepare a weapon. And with that weapon, you can win over these Asuras. So Devas, Indra came. And Indra came, the Puranas say that Indra sat with the Rishi in his kutia as a servant he joined. He started doing, all small work. And after a long time, one day Dadichi opened his eyes. And his disciples came and told, this is Indra. And Indra met him. He said, why are you spending your life here like this? What has happened? Then Indra had to explain to him, I have been driven out from the heavens. Oh Rishi, I am now lying here. I have come to seek your help. What help do you want from all renounced monk family? What I have to give you? I have got nothing. He said, one thing you have, your backbone. If I get the backbone, I can manufacture a weapon, and with that weapon, I can reclaim my kingdom in the heaven. He said, only this much? Oh, this is nothing. I go into deep samadhi, you take my body and take it out. You see, without that you cannot live. But the Rishi was able to give, and from that bone piece, a weapon was made, and that's what everybody praises, the weapon that Indra has called Vajra. And that very Vajra, Nivedita drew up in our flag. The first Indian flag was made by Nivedita, not by any Indian, mind you. An English woman or an Irish woman, I am proud to say, because I am from Dublin. So an Irish woman who could go to India and create and design a flag for Indian independence. Of course, later, the flag history, later it was changed. But that flag, that Vajra icon still remains. If you come to our Singapore ashram, what a wonderful idea, when the Singapore ashram in the new place, when we built in 1950s, at that time, in the entire compound, you will find this Vajra everywhere. So it was asked to our Swamiji. I am happy one devotee from Singapore is with us today. She knows that because she is our managing committee member. She knows. That Swami was asked, why you have put Vajra here? Why this weapon? Weapon means, it is a weapon always signifies war or battle or killing somebody. In Ramakrishna mission, why a weapon must come? Then the Swami explained to her, to the authorities there, this weapon is not a weapon to kill somebody. It is a weapon of significance of sacrifice. Ramakrishna Mission, Swamis here, who come here, the devotees who are associated with the Ramakrishna Mission, they are giving sacrifice for the sake of the society. That's why the Vajra is there everywhere you find. Every 6 feet, the Vajra is kept in the compound wall. Sacrifice is like that. This is called noble. The nobility comes from this, that when you are ready to give away with what you have, and you don't want to enjoy it fully. In Ranchi, when I was there, we have got a lot of tribal children who used to come to our ashram. So I used to encourage them coming to our ashram, and I will give them, the sweets, etc. One day, one Ramnam was there. So after Ramnam, I distributed laddus to all the children. So every children sat with me, and they are all eating the laddu. One child of 7-year-old was not eating the laddu. तो हमने पूछा, आप सबको हिंदी मालूम है? किसी को हिंदी मालूम नहीं है? Because this incident I will tell in Hindi because it happened in Hindi only. That's why. So I asked that boy, अरे बेटा तुम क्यों नहीं खा रहे हो? इतना बढ़िया लड्डू दिया हूँ, खाओ. So he's keeping like this and looking at like this everyone. Other children are eating. He was not eating. हमने कहा, अरे खाओ इसको. ये तो प्रसाद है, हनुमान जी का प्रसाद है, खा लेना. And when I told him second time, he looked at me, he wanted to say something. So I encouraged him, बोलो बोलो, क्या बोलना चाहते? तो मैं इसको घर ले जाना चाहता हूँ, जहाँ मेरी बहन है ना, उसको भी देना चाहता हूँ. You see the idea of sacrifice. He could have enjoyed it full, that whole laddu he could have taken. Sometimes we are so greedy. After eating one laddu, we ask for another laddu also. But this boy, you see, at that young age, 7-year-old boy, he is telling, I have to share with my sister. That means he is going to sacrifice half portion. So the idea of sacrifice, Nivedita's sacrifice, is something we cannot even imagine. The way she sacrificed her own. See, in London, she was there, and she was a very prominent citizen she became. She started a club called the Sesame Club, where top-level intellectuals, writers, poets used to come and have a meeting there. And Nivedita used to go there. And Nivedita was a prominent, she was actually growing up, only 22 years old, 25-year-old. And that within that years, she was just growing up in prominence. And everybody is knowing Margaret was named, very famous. And she was becoming so popular, she left everything and went to India. And before calling her to India, Swami Vivekananda says to her, he used to call her Margot, not Margaret, it's Margot, she would call. And I thought maybe it's a Bengali pronunciation, I think he used that, Margot. So he used to say, Margot, do you know coming to India means what? It's full of poverty. The poverty you have not seen. 3 years before she met Swamiji, she was working in England in a place, the place name I forget. In that place, her father was a pastor in the church. And there was nearby, there was a factory. All the factory workers were kept. And very, very abject condition of poverty there. And this Margaret used to go there. She used to talk with them, sit with them, and she saw the poverty. And she thought, nobody is taking care of these people. I must write in the newspapers. And she wrote it in the newspapers. So she was already famous. Margaret Noble, is that she, in the name used to come for these type of articles. All the name and fame that were going to come to her in England if she were continued, she renounced. And she went to India. And see the comforts also. When she was taken to Calcutta, she was so happy to have seen Swamiji. She says, I had so many questions in my mind. There was none to clear. I used to go with my father when he used to take, the Sunday classes. So when he used to stand in the pulpit and announce and give big teachings, And then coming back, I would ask my dad, Dad, you said God is all merciful. Is it true? He's a pastor and a devout Christian. He said, yes, God is all merciful, no doubt about that. Then why this neighbor lady, she is suffering for so long and she is in the sick bed for so many years? Why God is not showing mercy? He said, don't ask that question. You don't have any answer. Like that, she had several questions to her father who could not answer her curiosity. And she says, when I met Swamiji for the first time in that Isabel's, her friend's house, and
Isabel
Margis, her house, and then Swamiji is sitting in meditation pose. You know, London meditation pose, we all have that Swamiji's picture that was taken there, that photo. There he was sitting there. And when she entered, that orange robes, flowing robes Swamiji had, and he had the turban on his head, and he's sitting there. And suddenly, while closing his eyes, was in meditative mood. Suddenly, his loud sound coming, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva. And Nivedita was a young girl, 25-year-old girl. She's sitting there in the front row, and she's watching Swamiji. And behind him, the flames are there. It was a cold day. Flames were there. And then, in that, Swamiji was dazzling. The very first time she saw, what a person he is, what a yogi has come to our country. And then she heard him. She says, later she writes, that whatever questions I had in my mind, as it were, he was replying one by one, and Swami Vivekananda came to England for me. Whether we believe it or not now, he came for hundreds and thousands of people in all over the world. But she, as a young girl, she felt it, Swami Vivekananda came for me. And such is the relation, that Guru and Shishya relationship, when you read it, and you know how much she did was Swamiji. Perhaps, if she has not written the story of Swamiji, my master, you know, as I saw him, my master as I saw him, we would not have got some of the best qualities of Vivekananda to the world. And she wrote it after a long time of Swamiji's passing away. But those things were incorporated in the life later. What a wonderful quality she says. And Swamiji tells her, where shall I keep you in Calcutta? One small house was purchased, and in that a room was given to her, and it is in Bagh Bazaar. That place has become so big. You know, Bagh Bazaar, 16 Bospada Lane is the place where she was staying. And after some time, another next adjacent house was purchased, 17 Bospada Lane, where a room was scheduled to her, and she stayed in that room. 17 Bospada Lane, 17 number, you see, I do not know how 17 has become important in her life, because our address in Dublin is now 17 Rome Heath Gardens. And we named that house, our center, as the Nivedita house. The same 17. And 17th June we inaugurated the center last year. So 17 is chasing us. So when she went there, how much hardship she had to see that. You see, Swamiji says, I want to educate our young girls. Women's education is what I want from you. Can you do something? She said, I will start a school. Okay, go and tell the people. And a meeting was called. Swamiji came very quietly, and he sat in a corner of the room. And Nivedita did not even notice. Her guru has come and sitting in somewhere in the corner quietly on the ground. But she was full of feeling, that she must do something. So she was telling about her educational ideas, how she is going to educate the children there. And suddenly she saw Swamiji was sitting there. She was stunned. She got up and went to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, you are here? He said, yes. Then he got up and he looked at the audience and he told, everyone who have got a child, a woman, a girl child, must send that girl child to her school. Swamiji pleaded. And that school, when it was started, even Holy Mother, she came and inaugurated the school. and she blessed the children. And she used to tell any devotee coming to her, hey, what is happening to your child? 5-year-old child. Okay, 5-year-old, where is she going? Is she studying? No, Holy Mother could not go to school, You know that Holy Mother could not go to school because the elders in the families, they said, she will only reading novels if she learn education. For reading novels, she doesn't need to go to school. So like that they prevented her. But she learnt later on from others, but to read and write. But then Holy Mother could never write fully the Bengali, but then she could read at least. But here Holy Mother is telling the devotees, send your daughter to Nivedita school. And going from place to place, begging the parents, our ancestors, who refused to send our children to her school. Can you imagine a foreign girl? And with all that, the Hindu community at that time was such conservative community. They were not there. An English woman is coming. Suspicious. Why an English woman is coming and starting a school? Is she having a design to convert our children to Christianity? That is the question that is being discussed in the society. But she was such a great lady, and she never said that I am Hindu, but for India she was for all. And she said, Swami Vivekananda said, you continue your worship of Christ. And she, till the last, she thought of Christ. And she said, because of Swami Vivekananda, because of Swami Vivekananda, my impact of Jesus Christ on my thoughts have become stronger, she says. And what she liked in Jesus Christ? The sacrifice of Jesus. That is what she liked. So likewise, you find the noble qualities of Nivedita at different times. I'll give you one more incident. When Calcutta underwent, a famine, just like Ireland famine, potato famine. You all must have read about that. It was created by the rulers. That is what history says. And then there also the rulers created a potato famine. And a famine that nothing was available. And over and above that, just the famine was little becoming easier. At that time, the plague came. It was 1902 January. Swamiji said, come Nivedita, let us do something. So the plague, she started helping the people. A British woman, she was considered as a British woman only at that time, British woman, coming to the plague-infected places and taking care of the children and the mothers there, it was something unthinkable. Going by street, taking those patients out and bringing them to the hospitals and keeping them. And who was helping her, Dr. R.G. Kerr, in whose name a big hospital is there in Calcutta. R.G. Kerr Hospital, Medical Hospital. That R.G. Kerr was there with her. And he is coming and telling her at one time, the child you are nurturing is not going to survive. Tonight or tomorrow it will die. She looked at him, said, Doctor, I am not worried whether the child will survive or going to die. Why are you telling me this? So long the last breath is there, I must serve this child as Narayana. That is what my Guru taught me. And she served the child died, of course, the same night the child died, and it died on the lap of Sister Nivedita. And the night he comes, again for another round he came, and then he saw Nivedita sitting there with the child on her lap, and Nivedita told the doctor, Doctor, you are right, the child passed away. And that is the sacrifice, you see. We all talk about sacrifice, but we do not know that what is the element of sacrifice. Merely giving donation is not sacrifice, I tell you. If you can spare, you are giving. There is a great mind of charity, but not a sacrifice. And there are many incidents from her life. I will tell you. This nobility or noble soul, I call her because of the sacrifice, definitely. And her interaction with the great men at that time, Berlin Maharaj was telling you. So, and he told about Abanindranath Tagore. Abanindranath Tagore has, likewise, Nandalal Bose. He was a young boy at that time. Nandalal Bose wrote or drew a painting. And he told sister, can you come and see my painting? Said, okay. And she would always encourage these young boys. She went there and she looked at that. One painting was on Ramayana. The painting shows that Dasaratha was crestfallen. He is seated in his chair, and down below Kaikeyi is lying on the floor with the disheveled hair, and none of her ornaments are there on her body, and she is lying there. And next to Dasharatha, Kaushalya has come. Kaushalya is fanning her husband, Dasharatha. Nivedita looked at her painting and told Nandalal, do you think who was Kaushalya? Was she not the Maharani of Ayodhya? He said, yes, she was the Maharani. But then you have given an ordinary household fan in her hand. Should it not be like a silver fan? A Maharani will not use this fan. Did you notice this? And he was stunned, and he corrected that in his painting. Everyone, wherever she says, she was imbued with the Indian nationalism. She is telling her countrymen in Kalighat, she was asked to speak on Mother Kali. So everybody was stunned. The first time the Star Theatre, she spoke about Mother Kali, lot of criticism came from the society. A foreign woman, what does she know about Mother Kali? How many days she has worshipped Mother Kali? It is useless to listen to her. Like that. Even the person, Mahendralal Sarkar, was the chairman on that meeting, and he had a problem with her. And he started criticizing. How are you? You are not equipped to speak on Mother Kali, like that, he said. And when she finished, the audience thanked her so much. Such a beautiful explanation about Mother Kali she gave. And then at that place, the Kalighat also, she spoke on Mother Kali. And there she says about nationalism, she says, if you want a nation, and if you identify yourself with a nation, three things are required. First, Mati, the land for you. Without land, there cannot be, no nationalism can survive. Land you must have. At that time, Lord Curzon was dividing India into, two parts in the Bengal, East Bengal and West Bengal. He was dividing that. The order he has brought it up. And she says, how can it be? How can you love India when India is divided like that and separated? The land must be yours. And then she says, the people, don't you feel oneness all over India? She was the first woman who taught us that India is one country, though there are many languages, many sampradayas are there, but many types of dressings are there, but doesn't matter. But we are one country, we are one in mind. And that idea, she says, must be there. And third thing she narrated is that, do you have faith in your past? Do you feel proud of your past? She asks, if that Upanishads and Vedas and the Puranas and the Itihasas like Ramayana and Mahabharata are nothing for you, you cannot have the love for the country. These three things she told. Even for every country this is applicable, I tell you. A country, if it has to grow further, it must have these three items. And she was the first, and she was the first person to tell us, don't ever think, when she went to Madras, at the Madras intellectuals met her, and she asked, what do you think about this home rule movement, etc. She said, well, India must get freedom. And then she told them, and then one gentleman who was very great learned person was telling, you see, why should we have freedom immediately? We are not fit for getting freedom. I said, why do you say we are not fit for getting freedom? Then he says, who can unite India like British? British only brought the post office system. They brought the railways. They brought so many things that connected all over India. And because of British, we are one nation. Immediately Nivedita rose from a seat and shouted at him, what do you say? A foreigner will come and give you that oneness? Don't you feel that you were one much before the British came? Then don't you even think that where was Jyotirmath in the north and where is Rameshwaram? Lord Shiva is worshipped all over India. Lord Vishnu is worshipped all over India. How can you say that oneness was brought by British? This feeling that we are one, that she gave it to the Indians. It is something wonderful, as I was mentioning today morning, that when Subramanya Bharati, the famous poet, Tamil poet, he was considered the equivalent to Rabindranath Tagore, only thing he missed the Nobel Prize, that's all. But he's in South India, he is very much eulogized. And he was a great poet. And he made the people aware of the greatness of India. And he wrote a lot of poems. And wonderful poems are there. Even though sometimes when I sit in the car, quietly moving, at that time I remember, what I read those, in the young age, what I read those poems. Suddenly they come to my mind. And so beautiful poems. So he was such a person, he wanted his wife to be staying always in the home. When he came to Calcutta to see Nivedita, Nivedita asked, where is your wife? He said, my wife, she can't come out. I came to see you because I want that British rule should not be here. So I came to you. But then why you are asking about my wife? I said, no. My Guru Vivekananda used to say, a society, if it has to progress, is like a bird. It must have two wings and both wings must be healthy. One wing is man, another wing is woman. If both the wings, one wing is weak, the society cannot progress. So I want the women of India must also rise along with the men of India. And then he used to say, Nivedita is my Guru who opened my eyes. And he wrote a poem on Nivedita also. And that such a beautiful way she
said, if you are not ready to give freedom to your wife,
how do you expect the freedom to your country? And he went back and he told his wife, you must read now. You started learning. And then he wrote, Pudumai Pen is the title of one of the poems. It's called The Modern Woman. And that modern woman description, what he says, very much it is quite relevant today also. So he says, you become modern in dress or anything, it doesn't matter. But I want you to be mentally attuned to your past. If you cut off the past, what happens to you? You are nowhere. This is what happened to the many cultures that have been disseminated from the world. There were 16 civilizations in the past. And now only 4 civilizations are there. Why? What happened to the other civilization? Mesopotamia civilization. Are you able to listen to anything about that? Why it was taken away? Because people cut off themselves from their past moorings. And a new religion comes. You become the new religious people and you completely forget. In South Africa, when I was there, I used to go and meet the people there. And some of the shacks where blacks are there, they have become completely Christians. Okay, becoming Christians, our Ramakrishna Mission doesn't say anything about that. We are not for change of religion, but at the same time, if you want to become a Christian, well, you can become. We don't have any objection to that. But then what the problem was, they forgot their own dialect songs, which were so wonderful. Old ladies, when you go to their villages, they would say, our culture was so high. After learning English, we forgot all those songs and the language is gone. So somebody was telling me today only, my father and mother knew something of Tamil. And my grandfather you could speak Tamil well. And my children would one day say, my parents were Tamils. That is the situation we are creating now. So we are cutting off the past. When I go to Bengali families, I tell the parents, teach something of the language to your children. Later, after 50 years, if the child grows up and finds out that such a great man, Tagore, was there, whose poem got a Nobel Prize for him, and you have not given that to the child, what the child will say? You have done droham to me. You have betrayed me. Oh Dad, you have never told me about the Tagore. And now I cannot enjoy. I am enjoying that in English. But you can't get the translation. You see, even the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, I couldn't get that joy of reading in English translation. So I had to learn Bengali. I said, no, I must learn Bengali, reading and writing and talking. Otherwise, you can't get into the book, you see. So that is how the past cannot be cut off. If you cut off the past, you have no future also. Because from the past only we have come. Today we are at this age, at this wonderful place, in a foreign country. You are all here. Whether for your money or living, you came here or not. But you are still keeping up the connection to your past. That itself is a great thing. And that is what Nivedita, her best noble quality lies in telling the Indians the greatness of India. We never knew such greatness we have. And she wrote for the first time, because there was not many books on our Puranas, Itihasas, in English at that time. She wrote a book for us, Cradle Tales of Hinduism. Every mother, when she put her child to sleep, she must tell a story. In the olden days, it was like that. We all grew up like that, hearing stories. Swami Vivekananda says, I grew up by hearing from my mother about Ramayana and Mahabharata. So, we have to teach these stories. So, she wrote in English, Cradle Tales of Hinduism. Read it, how she has put the Puranas, and how from each character of the Puranas, she brings out the quality of that character. And she makes us understand, yes, this is the character that for which we revere our past. So such a wonderful that noble qualities of Nivedita. There are many instances are there in her life. Of course, we don't have so much time to go through. But I would suggest and appeal to you to read something of Vivekananda, this book that my master as I saw him. That book you must read. That one book is enough. She went with Swamiji to the tour of northern India once. And her love for Indian public, you see, she was just got down from her cart and Nagendranath was along with her. And he was the guiding in the Pushkar, etc., Jaipur, etc. They are coming. And when they come to UP, he was taking in. And suddenly she said, a big crowd was there. She got down from that cart and she said, Nagen, take me to the crowd. I want to see the crowd. All the Indians are there in their own dress. And she went there. The moment that crowd saw a British woman, an English woman is coming, and she had a very grand personality, tall and very beautiful eyes and cropped hair, with the buffed hair. And she used to walk and she had a long coat and she walked like that. And when she walked, the people gave, one policeman was their constable. And he was beating the people to give way for Sister Nivedita. Because a foreign woman is coming. Indians are beaten to give way for her. And she stopped and held his stick. She was beating the people, you see, held the stick. Why are you beating the people? And Nagen says in his description, the policeman couldn't understand. And he looked at me. Then I translated to him, क्यों तुम पिटा रहे हो? तो ये पूछ रही है. से नहीं साहेब आई है तो साहेब के लिए रास्ता छोड़ना चाहिए. So it was translated to her. She got so much angry. She said, for me, am I not one with you? I will also be with them. Why do you beat your own people? And she took the stick from his hand and threw it like that. And Nagen says, What a grand love for our country, men and women. For those poor people, she said that, no, you should treat me like them. So such many incidents are there in her life, you'll see that, how wonderful it is. And she speaks about Swamiji. Swamiji's greatness, you may go to a temple and sit there and think of Swamiji as a meditating monk. How much he brought impact on her life for the love of the countrymen and women. That is a wonderful way that I should say that Sister Nivedita's noble character. And she had a title noble, and she died as noble only. Thank you very much.
Sister Nivedita was giving everything for India. And she was servicing all the people, the poor people, etc. Can you give some thoughts on her sadhana apart from this part?
Yes, in that small place with her students, she was explaining to the students about the greatness of India. And while telling India, she used to use the word Bharatvarsh. That is the word she used to use for the children. And Bharatvarsh. When she was talking about Bharatvarsh, suddenly she kept quiet. And the students were all sitting before her. They found, what is this? Nivedita is not talking. And then she took her beads. She had a Rudraksha bead. And she took it. She took it in her fingers and she started doing japa, Bharatvarsh, Bharatvarsh, Bharatvarsh. That is her only japa. And see, one who has got a guru in Vivekananda, what more sadhana do you think she requires? And her love for that India, that is itself was a mantra for her. Bharatvarsh became a mantra to her.